Good afternoon. My name is Bridget T. Gamtrai Mambondiani. I'm a law student at the University of Zimbabwe, the current Secretary General for Zimbabwe Law Students Association. So today I'm here in the studio and we are going to be having our program marking the start of the 16 days of activism as it starts today on the 25th of November. So today we're going to be moving with the theme, Building Feminist Practices, Young Women as Agents of Change. So before I go into the nitty-gritties of our show, allow me to give this opportunity to the ladies who are with me here today to introduce themselves. So I'll start with you, Miss Becky.
Hello, Zimbabwe. My name is Miss Becky, aka Becky Nkosibanga. I'm a student at the University of Zimbabwe, studying multilingual communication, translation, and interpretation. I'm also the current chairperson for Take Your Life International class of 2022 to 2023. Thank you.
Good afternoon, viewers. How are you? Thank you for joining us on this show. My name is Angeline Majgara. I am the Communications and Social Media Manager for PADA Platform, a platform that uses ICTs to improve the leadership of young women. And I'm very happy to be joined by these young ladies today. We are going to find out what they have to say about using feminist practice in their daily lives, in their spaces, wherever they might be. I'll pass on the mic to the next presenter.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Dion Tanakashtemwe, a human rights defender and also a Take a Life International and Yet Trust alumni.
Thank you very much, ladies. So just to emphasize, our theme today is building feminist practices, young women as agents of change. Now, as we all understand that feminist practices, these entail the values that we as feminists believe in. And today, the question then is, how can we use our values and practices as young feminists to be agents of change? Now, in Zimbabwe, we have noticed that of late, we have noticed the increase in child pregnancies, child abuse, gender-based violence. In fact, this has become a national crisis that needs our attention, everyone, not just us as young feminists, but everyone. But today we're going to be hearing from the young ladies with me today in the studio. What do they have to say about the status quo pertaining to issues of gender-based violence, child pregnancies, and child abuse? Thank you.
I think I'll start.
Okay.
When we are looking at what's currently happening in our spaces, we have heard many stories coming out in the past maybe 3 months, but it's been an issue that's been ongoing in our society. It's a systemic issue that's not only started today, but the reason why now there seem to be more of these cases coming out is because of the availability of social media channels where these cases are more easily reported, as opposed to years ago when it was difficult for these cases to come out because people used to rely mainly on traditional media sources. We are hearing stories of 9-year-olds giving birth, 8-year-olds being pregnant. We have stories also of young women being killed or abused by their lovers in the context of this is someone that I did something for and now they owe me. So if they don't pay back what they owe, or if they don't give me what I want because of what they owe, then I am going to abuse them. I have the right to hit them, or I have the right to raise a knife at them or shoot a gun at them. This is becoming a problem. So as part of the platform, we are encouraging young women everywhere, not only who are part of this platform, but young women everywhere to be able to come out and speak out against these issues of abuse. How can you as a young woman speak? There is currently a campaign going on called #Black Friday, where you're encouraged to wear black on a Friday and let your voice be heard. There is no action that is too small. You can take any small action to ensure that you are also putting your voice in this current situation that we're facing. You have to say something. You might not do anything that's extremely radical, extremely out there, but just by the fact of you raising your voice, wearing a t-shirt, writing a message, posting a video, saying that you're condemning these abuses, it builds towards a greater collective, because we are trying to come together as one voice in the space of feminism, as one voice in the space of the women's movement, and speak out against these abuses so that our society can be the better for it. I think I'll pass the mic back to our presenter.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Angela. So, like you are saying, it's high time that we build collective movements against this. We say our voice, and we'd really like to applaud PADA Platform for the Black Friday, whereby we are mourning and we are saying enough is enough, and we are demanding action towards this. So, I'll leave the time to Miss Becky. What are your comments?
All right, so this issue of child marriages, child abuse, it's something that is very burning in our communities these days. Like what Miss Angela said, due to the communication that we have through social media platforms and stuff. So I think it's high time that we take it upon ourselves, not only as feminists, not only as students from universities and stuff, because people believe that the group that has to do up with those things are people that are learned and stuff, right? But it's not that we have to make sure we make this community a safe space for girls and young women, because we realize that every case that is happening, it's either a young girl, it's an adolescent, or a young woman who's being affected. We have young girls that are losing their lives during childbirth, young girls that are losing their lives through rape and so many cases. So I think we have to take it upon ourselves. Parliamentarians out there, you can hear this message. We have to work with collective effort and make sure that we create a safe space for the women and young girls that we have in our communities.
Thank you very much, Miss Becky. We have to create safe spaces for the young girls, for the children in our community. And she goes on to say that, this is not only a matter that students, or let's say women, should only be concerned about. It's a national crisis, and hence everyone should come in it. We should all join hands and have a collective action in addressing this issue that we are facing right now. So I'll leave this time to Dion.
Okay, yeah, just like what Miss Becky has said, that we need collective action for us to end what is happening in Zimbabwe. For instance, when it comes to child marriages, we have seen that in the past 2 months, we have heard of 9-year-olds who were giving birth. Imagine having a 9-year-old, a lactating mother at the age of 9, probably at the age of 16, that child will be expecting a second baby. So we are saying, as a community, we need, it takes the village to raise it takes the whole village to raise a child. So we need a collective effort from girls, from everyone in the community, and also the civic society should take part in helping also in trying to eradicate this problem that is happening.
Thank you very much. It takes a whole village to raise a child, indeed. So, what is being brought out here is that as young women, as every person in Zimbabwe, the issue pertaining to the increase in gender-based violence, the issue pertaining to early child pregnancies, so far, in a small period of space, we've had the child at Bulawayo giving birth. We've had the other one who's still in hospital right now, in Bindura, who is pregnant. And we are saying that as young people, as the whole community, as everyone in Zimbabwe, we should come together and have collective action in addressing these issues. Now I'll move on to you, Miss Angela. So as we're facing this national crisis, what are some of the solutions that we can come up with, especially utilizing the media, since as part of a platform, like you say, that is your area of focus? What are the solutions that we can work with?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bridget. Thank you very much, Bridget. Thank you. I think that to be able to tackle this issue, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, it's not going to go away in a day. It's an issue that has been building up over a long period of time. So what we need is a strategic approach. First of all, we believe that if we are doing what we are doing right now, which is talking about these issues, it is the first step towards eradicating or at least minimizing these cases. We want to be able to talk about it. We don't want to live in a society where we are pretending like these things aren't happening. And unfortunately, that is the Zimbabwean way of doing things. Sometimes we turn a blind eye towards things that are happening until it gets to such a point where it seems like there's no point of return. But if we talk about it on our platforms, be it on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on Snapchat, whatever platform you have, as a young woman or a young man, you can talk about these issues. Because once we talk about it, then it means we have spurred a discussion around these issues. When we have had these discussions, now we can get to a place where we come together. It is important for us to continue to highlight the issue of coming together, because collectivism means we have power in numbers. There is more power in us speaking out together than if we are individualistic about it. So now when we speak about it together, it means we have one voice where we can then go to duty bearers, where we can then petition our government, our office bearers, and let them know that this is what's happening in our society. What can we do to address these issues? We alone as women, or we alone as single individuals, we cannot arrest any perpetrators. I cannot arrest, she cannot arrest anyone. But when we come together and we say there is a problem and we take it to our duty bearers, be it the police or be it our members of parliament, whoever is responsible, we go to them, we say, this is what's happening. And then we can see that when we have taken these issues to them, then they are the ones who are the law enforcers, and they can then give us guidelines on how to deal with these issues. They are the ones who can then enforce the law. And what we need is more stern punishment for people. And we need these cases not to be swept under the rug as is common in our law society. We need these issues to be addressed. We need sentencing to be made mandatory for those who are abusing children. We need sentencing that is stern, that will deter people from abusing our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Angela. So, as she mentioned, collectiveness, solidarity, that we need to talk about these issues, come together and take progressive action so that we see that what we are talking about does not end theoretically in the talking, but there is action that's actually taken so that we ensure that there is justice. Now, Miss Beck, you mentioned something about, having to go to parliamentarians and telling them the matters on the back. So, what would you say when looking at the justice system in Zimbabwe, perhaps what can be done? Where are we falling behind? What's missing?
Right. Thank you for that one. So I think a lot has been done. A lot of organizations have been doing this thing. They have been standing up for the girl child. They have been campaigning against gender-based violence, against rape. But it's as if the government is lagging behind. It's not giving the support that it should be giving to the citizens, especially to the girl child. So I think it's high time that they also come into this bus with us and move with everyone else. Because when the civic society is helping out and they are not doing the best, we only see them when they're saying, let's make sure that we focus on the perpetrators. No, we focus on the victims, not the perpetrators, right? So I think they have to be with us right from the beginning. They have to be there for the citizens. Because when we elect parliamentarians, when we elect MPs, they are there to represent us. But then when they don't represent us, it means we have a problem. When we lack representation, we're not going anywhere. We have female councillors, we have female MPs. What are they doing in line with those issues of gender-based violence, child marriages, and child abuse? They're not saying anything. So I think the government of Zimbabwe, is high time they wake on this issue, because a lot has been done. People has been doing activism. We are in the 16 days of activism right now. And what is the government saying? Have you seen a notice from the government saying anything about this 16 days? So I think they have to be in the same ship with us so that we make collective efforts and make sure that we get the same goal.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Becky. Interesting there. So you hear it that she is saying, as the civic society, as individuals, we have been acting. We have actually taken action to ensure that people are aware of what's happening, and we have tried everything that is in our power to ensure that we're offering solutions. But when it comes to like what Miss Angela says, justice, we cannot arrest people. There is a time when we need the authorities of Zimbabwe to take action. So I'll leave this time to you, Dion. What do you say?
Okay, what I have to say is the community has a part to play. We cannot shift the blame to the government, because we already have policies that the government has put in trying to eradicate this problem. And so now the challenge goes back to the community. When they see these abuses happening, what is it that they are doing to help the girl child, to help a woman who is going under abuses? So as a community, we don't need to shift all the blame to the government, because we also have the role to play.
So there you have it. As the community, what are we also doing? We have a role to play, because like she is saying, our parliamentarians have made sure that there is laws that are standing to protect children. As we all know, Section 19, that's the state's mandate to protect the children. As we all know that it does say that there's no any other law that goes above the constitutional rights, and we have under Section 81 the provisions that protect children and young women, and our constitution is clear when it says that in everything that should be done, we should look at what is in the best interest of the child. And when we are faced with this national crisis, we are then asking, is the state actually performing its mandate to make sure that everything that is being done is to the best interest of the child? So Ms. Dion here also mentioned that, there are sometimes when you, for example, you hear in the Bindura case, 6 months later, that a child has been abused and is pregnant. And then you then ask, where were the parents? Where were the guardians when all of this was happening? Why wasn't anyone reporting? So, Miss Angela, what do you think is hindering people from reporting these cases as early as they can report them so that we ensure there's justice?
I think the main hindrance is cultural norms. Our society, as I alluded to before, has an unhealthy habit of turning a blind eye towards bad things happening because they say that uchasvibisa zita redzinza, or unozotinyadzisa. This is not only in cases of child abuse. There are many cases where our culture is the one that is preventing such issues from coming out. We have issues where children are abused by their fathers, they're abused by their brothers, by their uncles, by their mothers even, and no one speaks about it. This is because of our cultural norms that says we have to protect the name of the family. But why are we protecting the name of the family at the peril of the child? If the child's rights are being abused, if their future is being put in danger, all for the sake of protecting the name of the family, then we're getting it wrong somewhere. We have to start making steps towards removing this part of our culture that says you protect the name of the family at the expense of someone being abused. I think that's the main issue that we have to address when it comes to why these cases are not being reported. Most times you'll find that maybe someone who reports this case is not even a member of the family. Maybe it's someone in society, a neighbor or a friend who knows about this case and who's kept quiet about it for a while because maybe they were thinking that the family would do something, but when they notice that nothing is happening, then they take the matters into their own hands and they approach civil society organizations or they go to the police with the case. I would also like to talk about something that Becky mentioned, that why do we focus the blame on the victim? It makes it seem like we're shaming our victims. When we notice the cases that have come out in the media the past couple of months, we are focusing more on these victims as opposed to focusing on the perpetrators. We need to turn our lens away from the victim and put the focus on the perpetrators. We need to dig more. The problem is we go towards digging more information about the victim as opposed to digging more information about the perpetrators, because the perpetrators are the one whose pictures we see, we hear information about their family and etc. But we are not putting the focus on the right side. The right side should be on the perpetrator. This is where our focus should be so that they can be dealt with. Focusing our attention on the victim should be the minimum of the time that we spend on who is supposed to be held responsible for this thing. Now, when we're looking at the victim, we are now making it all about the victim, and it's not helpful in any way.
I cannot emphasize this any much better. Let's put our focus on the perpetrator. Let's make sure that those people are brought to book and that there is justice, because we cannot keep on focusing on the victim when nothing is being done pertaining to the perpetrator and making sure that they are held liable and there is justice for the victim. I'll give this time to you, Miss Becky. Miss Angela was mentioning things around cultural norms, around protecting the family name. So what would be your comment in terms of why are we having a delay in people reporting these matters at them, as early as they can?
All right, yeah, I would like to agree with issue of cultural norms, but also we have other reasons why people are not reporting these cases. I think to an extent, the way that these issues are handled when they have been reported is contributing to why people are not reporting. As much as I would like to acknowledge that the government has improved on the side of creating victim-friendly units, which is helpful. So I think the way that those issues are being reported sometimes and the way that the society is going about those issues will also stop people from reporting. We have heard from Miss Angela about how people are focusing on the victim. So the next thing, if I'm raped, if I'm sexually abused, I'll start thinking that when I go and report, I'm going to be trendy, not for the good reasons, but for the bad reason. Not for that she has reported, she has stood out, but because I have been a victim of rape or of gender-based violence. So at the end of the day, people are forced to sit back and just say, no, I will heal over time. Of which I think we have to make sure that we speak out when we have been abused in any way.
Speak out when you have been abused, and when you are seeing someone who is also being abused, make sure that you report the matters as early as possible. And like Miss Becky has said, there's been the provision, of course, little progressive advancements when the government created the victim-friendly units at the police stations. Make sure that you report any case that you come across. Dion, what are your comments? Why is it that these cases are not being reported as early as they are happening?
Okay, the other issue is the charges that are being given to the perpetrator. What is the government doing to the perpetrator? We are seeing we are not even hearing after we have reported our case what would have happened to the perpetrator. So that is one of the reasons why some people don't report their cases. Okay, I was raped, and then Ningi, who I know was raped, but nothing happened. We are still seeing the perpetrators walking in the streets. We are not safe. So why should I then report my case? because nothing is going to happen, nothing is going to change. So that is one of the reasons why these cases are not being reported. And also, just like what Ms. Becky said on the issue of reporting the perpetrators, of focusing more on the victim. So the more we publish about the victim, there's this feeling of, if the victim was raped, then that means she's being raped over and over again. The more that we post that issue, so we need to shift from focusing. We need to shift from a victim to the perpetrator. Yeah.
Okay,
Or
thank
focus.
you. Thank you very much. So, ladies, we have heard that we should have collective action in ending this national crisis that we are faced at right now. And we should also ensure that, as one of the things that you highlighted, we shift the focus from the victims and make sure that the perpetrators themselves are also brought to book and ensure that there is justice. And the whole reason why we are gathered up here speaking on these issues is so that we ensure that there is justice. There is some action that's going to be done to make sure that whoever that is guilty of abusing is stopped and the right charge is given so as to deter the next person from doing it. What would be your closing remarks as we round up this program?
I would like to mention something else that maybe we may have passed during the discussion. Some people feel that because they have not had any personal experiences of someone within their proximity being abused, then they feel that it's not a part of their story. But what we have seen in part of our building feminist practice is that the personal is political. We have talked about the personal being political for a very, very long time. Now, if you look at it and say inini andina wandinoziva kana kuti aisi hama yangu kana kuti handineinazvo nekuti hazvina kuitika kwandiri, and then you are saying that you are removing yourself from society, because when it happens to one person, it means that it's going to have a ripple effect. There is no action that stands on its own. Any action that is done tends to have a rippling effect on other people. So even if it does not touch you personally, somewhere along the line, it's going to affect you one way or the other. If you say, I will not speak out against abuse, I will not speak out against this or that, then maybe tomorrow that issue is going to come near your circles. It may not be you, but what if it's going to be your sister or your aunt or your colleague? What if it happens to them and then you have not spoken out against it? When you have not spoken out against it, it means that no one is doing anything about it. But once you speak out against it, even if it hasn't happened in your close circle, it means that if the chance of it happening to you, it means that then you know that there will be proper channels that will be followed. There will be a reporting that will be done. The perpetrator will be brought to book. They will be sentenced, and then justice is served. But then if you look at it and say, it's not my problem, I'm not going to speak about it, and then when it comes to your circle, it's also going to affect you in the same way that it's affecting someone today who's been abused, or someone whose child has been abused, or whose sister has been abused. So I encourage us to really internalize the fact that the personal is political. What is happening outside can affect you internally, and what is happening also internally tends to reflect and show on the outside. I know that I kind of deviated from the question that you'd asked. Can you please repeat it for me?
So anyway, I had just said, what are your closing remarks? So it was part of it. Thank you very much. Anything else you might want to say as we round up?
I would like to just say, as young women, it's important that we continue to speak. Sometimes it seems like when you speak, nothing is happening, but the change that happens sometimes happens slowly. It's like when an earthquake is happening, it doesn't just start off as one big earthquake. It starts off as little tremors, in the earth's crust. And then the earthquake suddenly happens and everyone feels it. But it just didn't happen suddenly. It started from those little tremors. So that's what happens. That's what we're trying to encourage here by saying we're building feminist practice and we're encouraging young women, because we have a generation that has gone ahead of feminists that are ahead of us. Some of them that we know by name, some of them that we don't know, all around the world. It's not just a Zimbabwean thing. We have feminists that have set the way for us. And now it is time for us as young women to follow in this path of these feminists. They have had their chance. And I'm not saying that their chance is past, but I'm saying now that the focus is shifting, because we are in a world that has shifted from how they used to understand feminism. It's a different time, it's a different generation. So we have to see how we can navigate this world of feminism using the resources that we have at hand, the media that we have, the technology that we have, whatever it is that is within our resource to use as young women. We should use it to be able to speak out against issues that affect us and affect our society. I think those are my closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Angela. The personal is political indeed. Don't ever think just because it's not happening to you as an individual, you then have to keep quiet about it. Keep speaking out for others because you never know where it goes to next. As always, what affects the other person next to you might end up affecting you. I'll leave this time to Miss Dion in closing remarks.
Okay, my closing remarks are on the activity that Pada Platform has brought forth, the Black Friday. So I'll just encourage everyone to take part. We don't need to, Pada Platform is our convener for this activity, but we don't need to wait for a civic organization to stand up for us. As women, as girls, and as the whole community, we need to speak out on issues that are happening every day in our communities so that we enable the next person to also speak out. The more that I speak out, the next person will feel free to speak out on the issues that are happening to them. So it's an encouragement to everyone to participate in this Black Friday event.
Thank you very much, Miss Dion. Over to you, Becky.
Right. So, in my ending remarks, I would just like to invite everyone. Let's all participate in the Black Fridays. Let's all be whistleblowers and speak against gender-based violence, speak against child marriages, rape, so that we make our community a safe space for the generations that are to come through our efforts that we're going to make now. So, someone may be wondering, this is for feminists, it's not for everyone. We have men that are also feminists. So, I think we have to come together and do this, everyone in the community. It's our duty to make sure that our community is safe for everyone.
Thank you very much, Miss Becky. Building feminist practices, young women as agents of change. There you heard it. Let's all come together. Collective progressive action. Let's shift the focus from the victim to the perpetrators. The personal is political indeed, and let's all make sure that we are doing something to address the national crisis that we are facing right now. There you have it from the Pada platforms. Thank you.